there. Thanks for tuning in. This is the Tammy Tine Design YouTube channel. I'm Tammy. Today I'm creating the third layout in my September Batch Scrapbooking Series. This is video number 5. In the first video, I picked out all of the papers. In the second video, I put all of the backgrounds together. And now I'm creating process videos for all of the layouts. If you haven't watched the other videos yet, I encourage you to catch up on them first. I will have them all linked in the description box below. Today's layout features 4 3x4 photos on a mixed media background. Here's the sketch. This is the only layout of the series where I included mixed media. This is my enhanced format, which usually features mixed media or a lot of embellishments. I may add inked edges or an inked die cut to other layout formats sometimes, but this is the one and only format where I add full-on mixed media backgrounds. I created the background I'm using today just a few days ago. Like I mentioned in the last layout, this one also required some prep work ahead of time. Mixed media needs time to dry properly, so you won't see me create the background on camera. In the sketch bundle I put together for the series, I added bonus options for each layout. This particular background isn't very complex, so the options don't look all that different. This design doesn't change that much. Nonetheless, as with the other options, I took the original sketch and turned it 90 degrees. I moved the title a bit and shifted the photo orientation to show you what that option looks like in case it works better for your photos. Each sketch is another 90-degree rotation all the way around. I can't always see how the options would look just by turning the page in front of me, so I hope it's as helpful for you as it is for me. The download bundle of all of the sketches in this series is free. I dropped the link in the description box below. You just have to sign up with your email address so we know where to send the file. I set up these sketches to refer back to the cutting guide. So the first item on today's sketch is the background from pattern paper number 6. Going over to pattern paper number 6 on the cutting guide, you'll see that this is the paper that was gutted in the center for the photo mat and some extra strips. I didn't have a plan for the extra strips. They were just extras to use as needed. I will use one on today's layout. And this is also the background paper for today's layout. Next, I'm adding in an 11 by 11 inch mixed media background. Oops, it looks like my sheet cut off the D on the word background. I didn't notice that before I finalized these. So sorry. Please allow me some grace for that. Mistakes and misspellings happen sometimes. I'm using white cardstock for my mixed media background. From pattern paper number 3, you'll need the 5 by 11 inch block. So let me find that one on the cutting guide. It's this block right here. From pattern paper number 4, you'll pull the 1 by 12 inch piece that you see here. I'm actually going to trim mine down to 1 by 11. I'm going to create a journaling tag for this layout, and I'll talk about that more in a minute. I have 4 3x4 inch photos, and the embellishments are just word stickers and die cuts similar to what I've used on the other layouts. So let me show you what I've already started. This is my pattern paper number 6 background, and here's my 11 by 11 inch mixed media block ready to go. I made this the other day and gave it plenty of time to dry. So how did I make this? I used a paper smooshing technique. If you want to try mixed media, this is a great place to start. All you need is a plastic bag, or you could use a piece of plastic packaging from an embellishment set to apply the ink. I used distress inks in Wild Honey and Rusty Hinge. Apply the ink to a craft mat, spritz it with some water, and then dip the plastic in the ink and apply that to your project. The packaging leaves these really cool splotches. You can apply a heat gun to dry what you have and then keep reapplying to get the color and the layers you want. You get all of these fun splotches without a lot of effort. Once my inking was dry, I added in some ink splatters with Distress Stain Spray. If you'd like a tutorial on paper smooshing in more detail, just leave me a comment. I'm happy to do some mixed media technique videos. All of the layouts in this series have a cut file with a diamond shape of some sort. For my mixed media layouts like this, I like to make clustered shapes that I can use as a mask to ink over. I used Rusty Hinge Distress ink for this and inked over my cut file with an inking brush. I placed it in all four corners of my background and applied ink over the top with the brush. Because I used the same ink color, this is a subtle detail. It's not super prominent in the background. And this element is just for inking. It's not going to go on the layout. To make this mask, I cut this file out twice, glued them together, and now I have a more sturdy cut file to ink over. If you just ink over a single layer of cardstock, it might rip as you work. I took my 5 by 11 inch block from pattern paper number 3 and I cut mine in half. Then I tore the edges of both of the strips. You don't have to cut it, it's just easier for me to tear a strip rather than a big old block. So now I'm adding some additional texture on top of my inked background to break up all of that color and to help ground it to the page. On the cutting guide, I show this green strip at 12 inches, but I cut mine down to 11 inches to align with the mat and this sunflower paper. And this strip will cover up the seam where I cut the sunflower paper in half. And this is essentially the background for this layout. I'm using 4 3x4 photos on this layout. I'm going to get these on here and then I'm going to immediately change the order. I haven't 100% decided on where each photo will go. They will eventually get centered in the middle. Once I get these one way, I'm going to change it again. What was bothering me is that the way my husband was sitting in the photo on the top, he's angled down. And if I leave the photo on the left side, it felt to me like he would be looking out of the layout. So I'm going to change the order. That's a very tiny detail that not everyone pays attention to, but it can make the layout feel off. You don't know why it feels off. It just doesn't feel right. So I'm going to play with the placement and fix that. Oh, and before I forget again, let me show you all of the scraps I have in my leftover pile. I meant to do this in the last video and I completely forgot. You can see that I labeled each of my papers before I cut them so I would know which paper was which. And after I cut all of my strips and my blocks and pulled them to create the layouts, this is the pile of scraps I have left. I did intentionally cut several 4.5 by 6.5 inch photo mats to use as needed, and that's one of the things I'm going to pull. It's a good idea to keep all of your scraps nearby in case you want to add a journaling spot or a banner piece or a strip for a title on one of the layouts. I also want to pull this light blue polka dot paper that came from number 5. This blue is light enough that I can use this for journaling. So I'm going to create the tag shown on the sketch with this paper. On pattern paper number 6, I added 2 of these 1-inch strips to be used however needed. I want to use this as a topper for my tag. You can see that on this sketch. Let me grab it real quick to show you. The tag is going to go behind the photo. I have a thin metal die here from Scrapbook.com that I'm going to use to make my tag. If you have a metal die that you can run through a manual die cut machine, grab it. If you don't have one, no worries. Tags are very easy to cut yourself. Because this tag will slide behind the photo, you can make it any size you want to fit your layout. When I picked my pattern papers, I mentioned that most of the papers I picked didn't coordinate with this particular set of photos. Then I found the sunflowers and just went with it. But there was another paper that could have worked. It's the reverse of my pattern paper number 1. Since I ended up using a different photo mat on my very first layout, I still have this photo mat to use. So I'm going to use it on the yellow heart side because that is the color that coordinates so well with my photos. I'm going to add it behind the photos and that will give me a pocket to slide my tag behind. I've already inked the edges of the paper in black ink to help it stand out from the background a little bit. So now I have a mat for the photos, and I'll only add glue to the bottom and the sides so that I can use this mat as a pocket for my tag as well. All right, let me move all of this aside and see what else I need to pull for this layout. I've got a plan for my tag like it shows in the sketch, and now I can look for my embellishments. On my tray, I already have my title set up. The title for this page is Happy Hour Dinner. On the sketch, there is more spots for more leaves. I've been using the same embellishment collection on all of the layouts in this series. They come from the Spectrum Gardenia collection from 49 and Market, and it's the 2 laser cut sets. I have both the leaves and the elements. These sets can get expensive if you try to collect them all, but one set does give you a ton of pieces. I'll still be using these sets on many layouts in the future. I also pulled this green ticket from the same laser cut embellishment set. I'll be using more tags and word blocks from my Honeymoon printable, and there are still many more for the next layout. I'm going to use the tag that says on the menu, and I'm also using the blue icon tag with the heart. You can see both of these right on the sketch. Since this is a food layout, I'm pulling the word blocks that say yum, delicious, and let's eat. And that is everything I need for the layout. I'm going to get my papers and photos down, and I'll be right back. So I've got my papers and my title and my photos down. I settled on this photo arrangement. I had a little bit of room in the bottom of that photo, so that's the one I wanted to add the title to, just like it shows on the sketch. Here's the tag I made with the scraps left over from my pattern papers. To add a little extra detail, I found the same green polka dot on one of the branding strips. I trimmed it down a small piece and added it. To finish off my tag, I cut a piece of black ribbon. I think I'm going to grab my stapler and staple the ribbon to the top of my tag. I still have a pretty big collection of ribbon, although it's not as big as it was back in the day. I don't think to pull ribbon as much anymore, but it can add a nice softer detail and a different texture from all of the paper. I should also be using my stapler more often. The metal staples do the same thing by adding a different texture to the layout. And I did put that photo mat behind the photos, so now I have a pocket to slide the journaling tag behind. I don't have my journaling typed up yet, but look for that in the completed close-ups at the end of the video. I'm laying out my word blocks and tags like it shows in the sketch. You can see the way that I'm building my embellishment clusters that I'm adding visual triangles. I try to have my visual triangles include the photos, the title, and the journaling. Since my journaling will be on the tag on this layout, that is the point that I'm using. I will add that green ticket behind the photo mat to make a little cluster with the phrase tag that says on the menu. I'm just cutting some of the leaves from this laser cut leaf stem here to layer up like I've done in the other 2 layouts. In the top cluster, I wanted that one leaf to fill out the corner, and I'm cutting a leaf with a branch piece to see if this will work to make that look a little fuller. And yeah, I think that looks good. I'm also going to add 2 little leaves with my blue heart tag, and then I can start gluing everything down. This layout has a lot going on visually, and I can understand if all the busyness is not everyone's cup of tea. I like to push myself to create with a variety of different looks and formats so that when I'm looking through my album, I'm not seeing the same type of page over and over. On the other hand, I wouldn't want to see this level of detail on every layout. That's why I cycle through several different styles. This is a colorful and fun page. But when you flip the page of my album, I'll try to add a simplified layout with a white background and a single photo next to it. That kind of page gives the eye a place to rest, and you're not constantly trying to process so much detail. These highly embellished pages are like 1 in 4 for me. The last layout in this series is a 2-pager with only a few embellishments, so if that's more your style, stay tuned. I just like to point that out because I'm an advocate for variety. It's okay to go crazy with detail on one layout and then tone it down in the next. Let's see, what alphabets did I use for my title? The small block letters are from Glitz Designs. I don't think they make scrapbooking stuff anymore. The other alphabet is Loopy Love from Doodlebug. I think I got that alphabet in every color they ever made, and I still have several full sheets. I use that one all the time. While I did follow the sketch, I did add a few extra embellishments that deviate a bit. I added leaves next to the blue heart tag. I added that green ticket from the 49 and Market laser cut embellishments. I added that enjoy every minute phrase under my title, and I added a photo mat behind the photos. I will be adding the journaling to my tag after I stop filming. I think I'm going to print it up on a vellum label. And that's where I will call this one done. That's layout number 3, from sketch to completed layout. Thanks so much for watching. This layout was full of techniques, as it has an ink smooshed background, paper tearing, and some ink splatters. You don't have to go crazy on every layout, but it's fun to break out the mixed media once in a while. My diamond cluster cut file is now available in my shop. You can check it out along with the sketch bundle. Click the link in the description box below for more details.